Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by ParaSight Systems. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and I hope you're having a great day. If you are driving, please keep both hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Please be safe in your travels. Today I'm recording in Taylorsville, Kentucky, and we have on the phone Mr. Cliff Hollywood Harris, a rodeo entertainer. Cliff, how are you today?
Absolutely wonderful, Doug. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great to have you on. Finally, we get to have you on. Where are you today? What are you up to?
I am in Ocala, Florida, and there's a new poker room that opened today. And so I am celebrating the new poker room opening by playing poker today.
Good. How's it going so far?
I won the first hand, and then I think I'm about even right about now. Just a little bit in. I've only sat down there for about an hour or so. So
okay.
It's a brand new room. They're kind of getting the wrinkles out of it and whatnot. But a lot of people I know, we play a lot of poker. So It's a neat room.
Cool. They've done a good job setting it up for you.
They did, and it's right here at the OBS, Ocala Breeders' Sales. So they have 5 sales a year, and tons of money comes in here from all over the world selling thoroughbred horses. So I think this poker room will pay off in the long run on those days especially.
You bet, you bet. And what game or games are you playing today?
I've specialized in Texas Hold'em, period.
Texas Hold'em.
And small stakes, 1, 2, 1, 3, maybe some 2, 5, and those are kind of small and medium stakes Hold'em.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been playing poker, Cliff?
Oh, since the poker boom, probably 2003, when Chris Moneymaker won the money, and everybody, just your average Joe can go out there and win $9 million at the poker tournament. It's what everybody thought. So Everybody got in back then. I played online while we could. And then I've been playing since then. It's 20 years or so, and a lot. And all over the country, we play as we travel. I've got a girlfriend now that loves to play poker, and so we play. We go to poker rooms in between rodeos, actually, and it's been really good. I went to the World Series last year, and I won one right after the Bottom Texas Rodeo. I went up there and won a World Series of Poker event, and I've got my picture, champion of World WSOP 79. Ain't nobody back here got one. So I just knew I was going to go back out there in November when they had their second tournament and get me a ring, by golly,
Yeah.
And I went out there and dumped off my whole bankroll like a moron. So I had to come home last year broke for the winter, as far as poker broke as we go. But this year I come back with a little bit, and we're just going to try to keep grinding it up a little.
Yeah. And what do you do to stay practiced and stay fresh in poker? What do you do?
Believe it or not, there's a science behind it now. Back in the day, like I said, anybody could go out there and get half-ass lucky and play a little bit good and go a long ways. And now there's tons of pros.
Okay.
So we actually have hardware programming that what I'll do is I'll take notes here today, and I'll go home and plug these notes of what happened in what situation into a computer, into a solver. And it tells me where I was with my equity all along during the hand. So these kids, these young people that sit down, you can pick them apart, but you can find out who they are. But when they sit down and make the correct bet sizes and the correct situations, they study the game. It's called GTO, Game Theory Optimal Strategy. And so if they study the game and you study the game, then it's 2 computers playing against each other, basically, because we've gone home and we've put the numbers in 1,000,000 times. We know where we're at with certain hands. And it's like 2 computers playing against each other. That's why at the World Series of Poker now, the final table is all 30-year-old guys, never an old one. Okay. And because they study the game as a science, and it's about position. So, but then also you come down here to these rooms and there's 8 old guys on the table with you. They can't even spell GTO.
Right.
So, and we call it old man coffee then. It's just old men playing, and they've been playing for 40 years, by God, and that's the way I play.
Yeah.
And so then it's exploitative strategies, exploit what they're doing wrong. But against the young guys, it's a tough game nowadays.
Okay.
So, you have to stay alert. You have to stay practiced. And if I'm going to keep doing this, I'm going to keep doing this at a profit.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of just kind of getting along and making a little here and a little there. I'm ready to, really step it up and put some time and effort into it. And the only thing you got to do is find a game you can beat and play it a lot, like 60 hours a week. So that's what in December, that's what I'm planning on doing. We're fixing my mother-in-law's house right now. And when December comes along, I'm going to move my motor home over there and sit and play 30 days and see what a 30-day sampling looks like.
Really? And 60 hours a week, you're headed towards that kind of play?
Yes.
Wow.
40 to 60, yeah.
Holy cow. And
when they're giving away money, you want to be sitting in the spot.
Yeah. And how do you do that? You got to stay at least even, right? You got to stay liquid. So how do you do that with 60? And I don't know a ton about poker, but my golly, it can move pretty quick. Are you a guy that pushes all in, that sort of thing?
Well, in the certain hands, yeah. It is a no-limit poker.
Yeah.
But, in order to stay pretty solvent in a small stakes game like this, you need between $5,000 and $6,000 as a bankroll in that kind of stakes.
Okay.
It's no game, and to play it right because, I've gone on downswings like for 2-3 months at a time.
Yeah.
Where you can't hit a flush and everybody hits a flush on you.
Yeah.
But that's what happens in that game. But
Okay.
there is a luck factor to it, but the better players always end up winning in the long run. It's a long run game.
So no more poker faces, reading your opponent, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that goes on, especially in the exploitative game, and there's certain tells, that guys put off, and I'm pretty good at we call it snapping off a bluff.
Okay.
In fact, last night, the very same thing I had the ace-4, and a guy raised to my right, and I called him, and the flop come. I forget what it was, really, 10 something, and giving me a diamond draw. I had the ace-4 of diamonds. It gives me a diamond draw, and then the board paired 10, and then I bet with an ace on the river, I bet $60 and he shoves for 260.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, crap, and I've been practicing folding in those situations when I think I'm beat and I know I'm beat.
Yeah.
I like folding, but there's a lot of places I can read that guy pretty good and read what he's done and how he's bet. And this doesn't make sense. If it never makes sense, it's a bluff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I folded my cards to him.
Oh, no.
And when I got up and moved to another table, I turned to him and I said, "Hey, what'd you have on that hand?" He goes, "Pocket fours." I'm like, crap, I had him beat. I had crushed.
Yeah.
And he just pushed all in and pushed me off a hand. So yes, that does happen. Bluffing happens a lot.
Okay. And do you bluff?
In certain spots.
And I shouldn't ask that because if anybody's listening.
No, it's not. It's fine. Bluffing is part of poker.
Yeah.
And in certain spots, you have to bluff.
Yeah.
And if you're not bluffing a little bit on the river, then you're not taking enough money home.
Okay. And I hear the term slow play and all that sort of thing when I watch it on TV.
That's what dumb players do.
You're not a slow player?
That's when you get pocket aces and you just check or you just call.
Yeah.
No, that's when 6 people end up calling and 2-4 beats you because he flopped 2 pairs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's why you always got to raise your good hands. And the only time you want to slow play something is when you like flop quads or you flop the best hand possible. You might want to check it a time or two.
Yeah.
And I did just that down in Mississippi, flop quad aces. I had $1,500 in front of me, and the guy across from me had $6,800, and he snap folded. I was trying to get all this money.
Yeah.
But he snap folded, and there you go. So you never know.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it keeps my mind sharp.
I was going to say you got to be thinking all the way through, and if you're going to do 60 hours, I mean, do you ever just get tired of playing, Cliff?
Yeah, you get tired of sitting because it's a lot of discipline. You get tired of sitting and waiting on hands.
Yeah.
If the poker room is right, but what I do is I take my motor home.
Okay.
And my motorhome's out in the parking lot, and a couple of these places, it's nothing but grass and beautiful little pasture. And me and the dog, I'll do 5 hours, then go outside and take a couple-hour break.
Okay.
and run the dog, eat some supper at the motor home, and then come back in for a tournament later. I like playing tournaments, but more money made in cash games.
Really, in cash games. So when you say cash game, you're walking into a game, right? How many players might there be? And
8 to 9.
8 to 9. And how long might that game last? Just a typical cash game.
Well, it can be going when you sit down, and it can be running into the night as players come and go.
Okay.
You can get up whenever you want.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'll sit there, and if you win quite a bit, and then all of a sudden the card's kind of cold dead, you might want to get up and lock your money up and come back in a couple of hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's a lot of little strategies to it. But if things are going well and you're playing right, you just need to sit right there and wait.
Okay. And then a tournament, how long might a tournament run? And you can't get up and leave in a tournament, right?
Correct. No, you can't get up and leave in a tournament. It could run, most of these small tournaments run 3 to 5 hours, somewhere in there.
Okay. And
the ones out in Vegas, they go about, they have 30 or 90-minute blinds. Some of those tournaments are 3-4 day tournaments.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them, the big one, is like a 6-day tournament, I think, when they're all done.
Holy cow. Yeah.
12 hours a day for 6 days with your mind just processing constantly. That's a lot.
I mean, you're constantly calculating odds. You're constantly trying to figure out your wins and so forth, what they might have.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
You kind of know. There's only, there's 52 cards, so it makes the math pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, buddy. And it makes math pretty simple. So, it is a math game, and you can't beat the math.
Okay. Okay.
So you just kind of have to stay in there, and when you have 4 to 1, when your odds are 4 to 1, if you don't win enough that one time to pay for the other 3, then you don't need to be calling. That's kind of how gambling goes.
I see. Okay. Well, I appreciate all that. I think our listeners are going to enjoy this. Man, you've got it going on. And when I introduced you as a rodeo entertainer, and I need to keep up politically and everything. Things are transitioning from a rodeo clown. That's what I used to know him as, know you as. And what is proper today? What's proper today? Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
Honk, honk, I'm a clown. I'm a damn clown, and I ain't worried about it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You can call me clown all the way to the bank.
There you go.
You can be entertainer. And there's a big story behind that when Flint wanted to be called an entertainer, and I can tell you why. Mm-hmm. And when we get to that point, if you want, but I'm a clown, man, and I love the art of clowning. I love the art of pantomime and trying to tell your story through your body and your face. And I went a long time with no mic,
right?
So I kind of expanded on those skills then in my early days.
You bet. And that's what a lot of our listeners may not know. And it wasn't that terribly long ago, 20 years ago, you weren't mic'd up when you walked into the arena. If you told a joke, this is how I remember it anyway, maybe longer than 20 years. I remember the clown, the rodeo clown, would actually give the joke to the announcer and step him through it, right?
Most people would. Myself,
yeah.
I learned early on. There's this clown who taught me a couple of things. One of the first ones I fought bulls at. He was a funny man, and he was the loudest voice in pro rodeo. He could holler.
Okay.
And he would position himself to where when he hollered at the announcer, everyone could hear him.
I see.
So you don't stand, never would you catch me standing underneath the announcer stand looking up at the announcer telling a joke. Mm-hmm. I'm over there right in the middle of the crowd hollering all the way across the arena to the announcer.
Okay.
And if he would go, "Hey, I can't hear you," I was like, "Duh, everybody else could though." So that's I learned hollering from a long time ago.
Okay.
And so that's what screws me up a little bit today. I still want to holler and scream into my damn microphone.
Okay. Okay.
Overmodulate a little bit.
There you go. And you talked about this influence from this clown that taught you something. There were two clowns I read that out of Texas, and we're going to get into you growing up, but Dan and Billy Willis. You said, okay, tell us a little bit about these folks.
Well, Dan and Billy Willis worked for my dad at a feedlot in Waco, Texas. And Dan Willis was the 63 Rookie of the Year in the PRCA. Oh, wow. And I think he won Houston while he worked for my dad and won $800 and quit his job. And then went off and lost his money and then come back and work for my dad. So my dad would always say, we don't want you to be one of them damn broke bull riders like that. Being gone off and then have to come back to work, stuff like that. He saw the gambling side in that. And because my dad was steady, went to, the Army and then college and the whole 9 yards. And these bull riders were, well, I wanted to ride bulls, man. All I wanted to do was be a bull rider and a clown because Dan and Billy Willis were bull riders and clowns. I see. And believe it or not, later on in my career, I was working a rodeo in West Texas, just north of Waco, and Dan Willis had 6 at 6. It was the agricultural show at 6 a.m. on Channel 6 in Waco. And he came out and interviewed me. One of my high points interviewed me at the rodeo for the morning show and everything. Dan Willis did. And I was at a rodeo, and I liked it in Texas, especially in Texas. And I'll say, hey, I started out rodeoing when I was a kid, and I knew Dan and Billy Willis. And somebody, usually an old man, will come up to me and go, hey, I knew Dan Willis. Well, this girl, a little barrel racer, comes running up to me and goes, Dan Willis is my papaw. Oh, no. I was like, what? He's my grandfather. Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. And so she hooked me up with him, and I got back in touch with Dan's son, Bob Willis, and who trades cattle and sends a lot of cattle to Florida, and got back in touch with everybody. And unfortunately, he was in a nursing home in Clifton, Texas. But fortunately, I got to go by and see him and hang out with him quite a while, and just show him a bunch of pictures of me and my kid and talk to him a lot. But he ended up passing just a couple of weeks back. Oh my! So that's Dan Willis. So yeah, and a lot of people know him, and from Donnie Gay on down to everybody. Dan was quite the rodeo hand. Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about, you talked about your dad coming up through Army and college and feedlots and all that. Tell us growing up, about Cliff growing up in Texas. Earliest memories forward, if you would, please. Well, I was a little shit. Number one, let's just say that right now. Okay. If my mom and dad are listening from heaven, I'm sorry, because I was a turd. I'm telling you. Yeah. As far as kids go, I had one that was brilliant as a child and unbelievably kind as a child, and never stepped out of. Well, that wasn't me. Okay, I don't know where in the hell I got my kid from, but that wasn't me. But we grew up in Waco, Texas, and my dad had the feedlot, so that's kind of what I knew. Cow dogs and cows, and I would walk around the Waco, Texas feedlot, and the Waco, Texas sale barn, and I sold poppers. Poppers. As a kid, a popper is the string that goes on the end of a whip. Oh. And in Texas, people, moving cattle, a lot of them have little bull whips. They call them bull whips in Florida. They're only about 6 feet long. Okay. And but I walked around with a bull whip slung over my shoulder like all the cowboys, and I'd have to take half the red man out of the package to where I could roll up the package small enough to where it fit in my back pocket. Okay. A whole bag of Red Man wouldn't fit in my pocket. Now hold on a second. You're chewing Red Man tobacco at what age? Oh, I wasn't chewing. I was just carrying it around trying to be big. Oh, I see. So you always put it in my mouth. I probably put it in my mouth once or twice and got sick. Yeah, I just carried it around thinking, so they know I'm grown up. But you always had a pack of it in your back pocket. Yeah. Red Man. And you always had a bullwhip over your shoulder. Yep, and we went to the sale barn all the time, and working cows was my thing, that I thought, growing up. But anyway, my dad moved us to Florida in 1970 to ship cattle west. Oh, okay. And that's how we ended up in Florida. And when I came down here, that's all we ever did was ship cattle.
Okay.
So, I went to school, and come Thursdays, my dad was gone to the sale Monday through Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd come home either late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, and we'd be at the barn after school sorting cattle and shipping all weekend. Hopefully the barn would be empty come Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd be shipping cattle west.
Okay.
And he always said that we were 10 years too late.
Okay.
And we moved there in 70. And what he meant by that is we were 10 years too late for extreme wealth.
Okay.
To actually build.
Okay.
Actually, my dad did very, very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for extreme wealth, like Wallace Cobb or Foy Reynolds, they came down in 1960, and Gerald Dara from South Florida started shipping in the 50s and 60s, and it was gravy back then. And everybody in the country wanted Florida cattle, and you could sell them right and left and pile a bunch of money on them.
Okay.
So they made they made real wealth to where they could buy land and things like that for centuries, for a long time, for generations actually. And so in 73, I watched them lose we lost everything we had.
Really?
The market fell, and my dad had 2,000 head in Oregon on grass, and his partner backed out on him.
Oh, wow.
So we actually had to sell a nice house, move into some apartments, stack everything in storage in them apartments and stuff. I watched them, go through going broke, and then built it all back up. My dad did. When we moved out to one of the nicest houses in one of the nicest neighborhoods in town,
Okay.
So it all came back plus some, and after he passed away when he was 56, he got lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so right about the time he got sick, I came home from college. I quit college about 2 years in.
Yeah.
And I come home and I got a cattle buying job from Likes, a cattle killing outfit, a meat company. Right about the time my dad got sick. And so as soon as he passed away, the Likes moved me to North Florida, and I did 5 sales a week and routed 6 or 8 trucks and probably bought $2 million worth of cattle a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We had 3 feedlots in South Texas, and if it was a good heifer, I owned her when she come through the sale because we needed lots of cattle at those. So we paid the premium, but anyway, that was, and then they quit killing cows when I moved up to Foy Reynolds Cattle Company, and I was unloading my car, and I heard them clang, clang, clang. Bucking, hey, they're bucking bulls somewhere. We go around back. And Foy Reynolds, and which he had tons of stuff that used to go to. He actually had, you might be familiar with North Washington, PA.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, Foy started that rodeo. He was up and down Reynolds Rodeo Company, PRCA. He was up and down the East Coast over there. And anyway, they were bucking bulls, and I stepped up on the back of the chutes there. And, I rode bucking horses all through high school and college and clowns just a little bit. I wanted to turn some bulls back one time. Mm-hmm. But I was pretty good with cattle growing up. And so I said, Mr. Foy, you ain't got nobody turning your bulls back. He goes, well, get out there, Packer buyer. And I had my Brogan boots on, and I just stepped out there, and I took that bull to the left, put my hand on him, just walked in a circle with him like I've been doing it a million years.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, hey, catch this bull the other way.
Yeah.
And I caught that bull, and then he says, hey, this time, just catch him and get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, I caught him, got the hell out of the way. And shit, he just directed me all afternoon.
Yeah.
And then once Likes quit killing cows, I was riding pastures, doctoring cattle, and buying for Foy Reynolds. And somebody come out there to lease bulls. Charlie Driver came out there to lease bulls. And I said, we were running some calves through the squeeze chute. And I said, who's fighting bulls? He said, I ain't got nobody. And Foy said, hell, take that boy. He can fight bulls. He said, what do you charge me? I said, I don't know. $50
to fight
He
bulls,
goes, for both nights? I said, all
right. So your first gig with him was $50, so $25 a night? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let me back up a little bit. I always was of the impression, Cliff, that you were a barrel man, a rodeo clown, entertainer all the way through. But no, you're a bullfighter first.
Oh, I started fighting bulls, in the beginning,
Okay.
See, the only way you got the jobs is if you were a bullfighter and you had acts.
Okay. Okay.
You know, you could do both.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you had acts, you got all the jobs.
Okay.
As out of all the bullfighters. If a bullfighter had, you know, Rex Dunn, he fought bulls, did acts.
Mm-hmm.
I fought bulls and did acts I did 3 acts at Longhorn Rodeo.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
fought bulls doing acts. And I would always tell the stock contractor, look, I'm your axe. Don't try to kill me with the fighting bull.
Yeah.
And if there is one I can fight and get around, I'll get around him for you. But that's it. We're not turning out no fighting bulls.
Right. Right.
And they go, okay, you know, because I'm your act.
Right.
I mean, you run me over and get me hurt, you got to act tomorrow night.
Right.
And so they were always okay with that, you know, not feeding me to a fighting bull, you know.
Okay.
So if there was one I could kind of get around nicely, I would and thrill the crowd a little bit. Other than that, I didn't want to get run over.
Sure. And what did you work with other bullfighters as you perfected your skills? I mean, you got to get in and help cowboys that are hung up and that sort of thing.
Exactly. No, that's fighting bulls. Yeah, I fought bulls by myself for years. I fought bulls. I did 94 bulls one night by my damn self.
How? Holy cow.
In Florida. Back then, we used to have, now, there was the same 16 bulls we bucked 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day. But, you know, where you get to where you know all of them. You know, but and there's only a couple that would hook. But anyway, yeah, no, I fought bulls a lot.
Okay.
I got pictures of getting hang-ups and the whole 9 yards.
Okay. Okay. So your big move into pro rodeo was Charlie Driver?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it pro rodeo, but yeah, my big move to get paid was right there.
That was the first time you really got paid?
Well, the very first time I ever got paid was I was like 19 in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. I did 3 days for $100.
Okay. Okay.
And so, you know, yeah, a hotel room and 3 days for $100. And I had no clue what I was doing, literally. I mean, I was not a good bullfighter. I had no acts. I had no jokes. I tried to act and it failed. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I was just some guy that put on makeup and went out there back then.
Sure. And you had touched very, very briefly, Cliff, on high school and college rodeo. Tell us about that. Was it national high school rodeo you were doing? Barebacks, saddle broncs?
You know, my barebacks, I started out riding bulls, and my mom and dad wouldn't let me ride.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
My dad didn't want me to be that broke bull rider.
Yep. Yep.
And my mom didn't want me getting hurt.
For sure. Okay.
And she told my dad, if you let him rodeo, I'm leaving. So I had to sneak off and do it. Mm-hmm. So I snuck off and rode bulls and whatnot. And then finally, David Morgan sees my dad at, where was he? Oh, down there in South Arcadia Sale Barn.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, your boy got on Smart Dugan the other day, did pretty good. But, you know, and he's like, what?
Uh-oh.
You know, Smart Dugan was a bronc, had been to the finals. And hell, I rode him about 5 or 6 seconds. You know, I thought I did real good. But then he throwed me over his head.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, he did what?
Uh-oh.
So my dad burnt a rigging bag full of shit.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't want you competing.
Poured lighter fluid on it. He said, the next thing I'll do is take the distributor out of that car and you ain't going nowhere.
Holy cow.
I said, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So no more riding bulls.
Yeah.
But anyway, I started riding bucking horses and really, see, a friend of mine, there's 3 of us around the neighborhood, and he got a bucking machine. This is in 78, 79.
Okay.
And so, man, we were on. And they had been to Duplessis School and Mike Fletcher's school and Scott Fletcher's school and all. And they come back and showed us, hey, we're doing all this wrong here. We got to pack our hand in this rigging where we can hang and drag. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what happened. We learned how to pack our hands in them and ride bucking horses on this machine. So I'd sneak off and ride. And finally, I was 18 years old, my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
And my mom, and I was second in the state in bareback riding without them knowing it.
Holy cow.
And so she finds out. She goes, look, you're 18. Because I told her, look, I'm 18. I want to move out.
Right.
And she's like, no, you can rodeo, but I just don't want to hear nothing about it. I don't want you telling me about it. I don't want to, all that crap. That's kind of how that went down. And then I was winning second in the state and was going to the national finals. And she said, well, I think I'll come to a rodeo. She was excited for me.
Okay.
And I bucked off to tall timbers, and it spun to the right, and I was hung forever.
Oh, my. Oh, my. Okay.
I mean, just swinging around, hung to a bareback horse as he spun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All I could do was hear my mama screaming over there. So she decided not to come back.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, I went to the high school finals. I didn't do anything any good, but I never would have. I had a PRCA card, a film, a permit, and then I never would have won anything. I wasn't that good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so then college, you still rodeoed through college a bit then?
I did. Well, actually, right there, I'd won this rodeo at, was it Teague, Texas or something? Anyway, they had a FFA rodeo there 4 times that year, and I won every one of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got hurt on the last one real bad. Hung up and drug around, banged my head off the fence, had to send me to the hospital. But it was just nicks in the head. But anyway, the ag teacher there was friends with Sonny Sykes at Sam Houston State University, our coach.
Okay.
And he reached out to him because I told that guy I'm wanting to go to college, and I had an offer from Sedalia, Missouri, and then my buddy called me the day before I was fixing to leave, said, hey, don't come. They just fired the coach.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was looking around at other colleges. I had a couple of different offers, and then this guy called Sonny Sykes and said, hey, you need to recruit this kid. He rides bucking horses both events, and he won 4 of our events.
Okay.
So they sent me a message, and I called and went down there for a little interview, and he said, yeah, come to go to school. So I went on full ride at Sam Houston State University.
Nice. Okay.
And I couldn't spell Sikkim, much less valedictorian.
Right. But you were on the rodeo team for all 4 years there, Cliff.
Well, 2 years.
2 years.
And I had to, and the second year, I had to go back and do a bunch of special work just to get a 1.8.
Okay. I understand. That can be tough.
I wasn't a very good student because I have ADHD, decoding problem. We've learned all this after watching my kid grow up.
Yeah.
And so no wonder I made it through it all.
Yeah.
I'm an intelligent guy, but to pull words off a page in verbal linguistic style and understand what it means at a fast pace, the next word, oh my God, that's that many words again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Screw this.
Yeah.
So, I went through all that college in 2 years. I never bought a book.
Mm-hmm.
Not once. I just took good notes and crammed at the last minute and tried to get through the test.
Right.
But that's kind of the way it was. I was horrible student and had no idea what I was going to do.
So then you moved to Florida and started buying cattle and started working cattle. And did you think that was the career, Cliff? Did you think I'm going to be in the cattle business is my deal?
I had I was 24 years old with an expense account and buying millions of dollars worth of cattle. I and the key seat on every sale. There's one seat that sits in the middle and he gets a free lunch and he gets a nice chair. That's me.
That was you.
At 24 years old.
Okay.
And, I was rocking and rolling and doing exactly what I thought I was supposed to be doing. I grew up in my daddy's lap. Before school, my daddy would take me to the sales and I would hold the card. He would hold my hand and we'd bid. And then I would flip the guy the numbers and I'd make the mark on the card. Okay. So I was born to be a cow buyer. And so I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And the good Lord just led me with that. The whole time I wanted to clown. The whole time.
You did.
Okay. I would drive the livestock department was all the way around the back of this kill plant. Huge kill plant. We killed 500 a day. Oh. And as I drove around, they had those big plastic barrels that kind of looked like a clown barrel. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep.
30-gallon barrels.
Yeah.
Well, I kept going, man, I want to be that clown. I need to build a barrel big. Well, then they moved me to North Florida, and the good Lord put me at Foy Reynolds' place.
You bet.
I was sitting next to him at a sale, and he goes, hey, I got a place I'll rent you or a place I'll sell you right in my backyard. And he goes, okay. And I said, okay. Yeah. And so, the good Lord just put me in the right spot at the right time. Likes quit killing cows. The cow business was totally down. Okay. I had a couple of thousand in the bank. And this girl that I had been seeing moved to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "You need to come to Texas and do these rodeos."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right." And I tied my barrel on the back of my Firebird and put 11 dogs in it.
What? Now, wait a minute. Hold on. 11 dogs?
I had 2 adult Australian Shepherds and 9 puppies.
Wow. Okay.
I put them all in that Firebird.
Yeah.
And moved to Texas.
And what year was that? How old were you?
That would have been, my dad had just passed, so 84, 85.
Okay.
And so I get out there and I sold those puppies to make a little money right there then.
Okay.
And I called Terry Walls because there was a book called a paper called Rodeo News.
Mm-hmm.
No, excuse me, Rodeo Times in Texas. It was Rodeo Times.
Okay.
And you could, every rodeo all around Texas and everything was in this Rodeo Times, a little like a newspaper looking thing.
Yep.
And it come out every month or every week almost. And anyway, I picked it up and called Terry Walls. They had Jacksboro, Texas that weekend. And I said, "Hey, you need a new clown with good, funny new acts?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." I said, I'll be at Jacksboro." He goes, "All right, but I can't pay you nothing."
Yeah.
I said, "Will you give me gas money to leave?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yes, sir." So I go up there and he goes, "Where's your rig?" I said, that Firebird with barrel tied on the back right there. He goes, "Holy shit, you sleeping in that?" I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, go up there and get in a room with them bullfighters up there. They got an extra bed."
Okay. Okay.
So that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that rodeo, and I don't know if you've ever been around a rodeo when it's over.
Sure.
And you stand there waiting to get paid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And you really don't know whether you're going to get paid, or you really didn't add up for the people in the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're watching your stock contractor as he goes over and pays that guy.
Right.
And then he goes over and pays that guy. You ever been in this position?
Once or twice. Absolutely. Yes.
And he goes over there and pays that guy.
Yeah.
And you're watching him bounce around the parking lot paying people.
Yeah.
And then he walked by me and goes, "All right, buddy, appreciate you coming." I said, "Whoa, wait a minute. You told me we'd have some gas money when I left here. I ain't got no gas to leave."
Yeah.
And at that time, it took $12 to fill up that car.
Right.
And he goes, "All right." And he walks back up to the committee.
Yeah.
And asks them, I just expected $20 or $40 out of his pocket, you know?
Yeah.
And he walks back up to that committee and gets a $75 check.
Okay.
3-day rodeo.
Yeah.
And comes back to me and he hands me that $75 check. And I said, "What am I supposed to do with this check?"
Yeah.
He goes, "I don't know, but be at Sherman Denison next week." And I said, "For $50 a night." He goes, "All right." And Sherman Denison was 3 days. And so I was on in, boy.
Yeah.
But he goes, "As long as you bring that shooter act."
Okay. So I was going to ask what you had said. You called Terry Walls and new clown with new acts.
Yep.
What was you packing for acts at that point?
That was Quick Draw McGraw right there.
Okay. And how long had you had Quick Draw McGraw?
Just broke it out. Just started it that year.
Really?
It was an act from church. It was a Young Life skit out of church that my brother and I used to do.
Really? Okay.
And it was about a kid going to town.
Yeah.
His mama gave him 3 coins to go to town and get something. I can't remember what it was. Kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk. He goes to town, and when he gets to town, here's an arcade.
Yeah.
And he goes inside, and the good and evil are on his shoulder. "No, you can't do that. Your mama's expecting yada, yada, yada."
Yeah.
And then he goes to the next one, and it says, "Try your luck, win $10.
There you go.
Oh, so now, and then on his shoulders going, yeah, do it. No. And so, and he does it, but he loses his money.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any to take back to mom. So that's kind of the premise of the thing is, it can, and so, and it was also the first place somebody stole it and went somewhere else with it.
Your act.
There was a clown there with me.
No.
Bulls. He's a good guy, but his name's Brian. I forget his last name. Anyway, He was there, and believe it or not, somebody calls me from Florida.
Yeah.
because I had done this act in Florida 5 or 6 times.
Oh, you have?
before I left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At Gurney Giggers Rodeo. Somebody calls me in Florida and goes, somebody doing your damn quick draw act down there. I went, what? And it was that guy. He went to Florida thinking he's going to go a long ways away.
Yeah.
And anyway, he did it down there. But he was the first one. Brian Martin, I think, was his name.
Okay.
But he was a good bullfighter and whatnot. But, yeah, that was the first time I got hacked.
Okay. And you had that act all the way through. You still do that act today?
I do it every now and then when somebody wants it. I was at Henrietta, Oklahoma this summer, and by golly, Tammy, she wanted it really bad. And I was like, I'd love to get it out and do it for you, but it just, when you don't have the oomph to do something, it doesn't pull off right.
Right.
And the stuff that I'm doing now is so much more easier and funny, and it's just, and the most important thing was they got a lot of old timers there.
Yeah.
And this one guy had been watching me for 25 years, and now I'm going to go out there and do the same act he saw 25 years ago.
Right.
That sucks.
Right. So how many acts are you working now, and what has changed? You said they're easier to do now, but you're still doing acts, or you're just doing segments?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do acts, but, the days of the car and 4 boxes full of props. I had a trailer loaded down with props, and I'd come up with an act and I'd build a prop. But eventually when the PBR came, I had to learn how to put these props on a plane. And so the number one thing that I was doing at that time was Houdini's Metamorphosis. And very good act. And Jerome Robinson wanted it everywhere we went, except for the PBRs. They didn't want them at the PBRs. They didn't want to act.
They didn't want acts at the PBR.
They did not want acts at the PBR when I first went to Tuff Hedeman's deal.
Yeah.
And, I was like, what? You know what? I got all this stuff. No, we don't want acts. So that's kind of how that went down. But nowadays, we travel with stuff that fits in a suitcase and goes on a plane. 3 hoodies is a lot easier than a bucking car.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you ask me, that the turkey race is a lot more funnier than, the engine's ginning and the carburetor's carbon and the pistons, they're working too.
Right.
Same jokes as 80 years ago on the same cars.
Right. So talk a little bit about, and this goes back to my Rodeo Clown versus, or as it's transitioned to a Rodeo Entertainer. When you went to the PBR, and you worked the PBR finals, what year did you work the PBR finals, Cliff?
97 and 99.
1997, 99. And at that point, you're walking and talking, you're
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
What was that transition like? And that really is kind of, to the point of a rodeo clown transition to a rodeo entertainer. What's that been like for you?
Well, I'll tell you the transition spot, which nobody knows. There's 2 major points that happened in 99 while I was there.
Okay.
And I used to, like, Tommy Joe Lucia is the best producer in the world. And I would sit and watch his crew set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we had pretty big production there in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I would sit there in the crowd and just watch them set up. And so I was sitting there watching them, beforehand, 2 or 3 hours before the show. Building wasn't open yet. And Randy Bernard is over there sitting, I'm going to say 50 feet, maybe 60 feet from me. And he's talking with the camera guys. And all I heard was, I'll put him in black if I have to, damn it.
Put him in black.
Go, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's all I heard. I'll put him in black if I have to. And then the cameraman said, yes, sir. And they walked off.
Okay.
That's all I heard.
Okay.
And then he looks at me and he says, Hollywood, you got a second? I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I go over there and I sit down next to Randy and he goes, hey, listen, we've hired a PR firm from New York City. We sent them they had no idea what rodeo or bull riding is, which we wanted. We sent them to a rodeo, and now they come here, and their job is to take our product as far away from rodeo as it possibly can.
Really?
That's what they did. They hired a PR firm
to
take what they have, and they showed them rodeo, and now they show them bull riding. And they came to me this morning and said, the only thing that's tying you to rodeo is that guy in the barrel.
I see. I see.
At that time, if you opened up the PBR website,
Yeah.
my face, my body, and my barrel was plastered on the front page
I see.
with my hands wide open. And it had PBR, the old triangular one, on the barrel. Now, that came about because I had that guy in my pocket for my website.
Right.
And he put me on the front page of the PBR website.
Yeah.
PBR Now has got Hollywood Harris right on the front of it.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't the next morning. That shit was down.
Okay.
This is not about the clowns or bullfighters.
Right.
This is all about bull riders.
Yes.
So there we go. He goes, so they say the only thing that's tying us to rodeo is that guy in a barrel. He goes, looks at me and goes, what can we do about that?
Yeah.
And I went, shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been 25 years developing this character.
Yeah.
And I got one that you want, and you want me here all the time, and now you want me to change it.
Right.
And at that point, I couldn't take my makeup off. Today, I probably could. But I couldn't do anything without makeup back then.
Oh, now wait a minute. Let me tune in on this a little bit. So had they requested or suggested you take off your makeup?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
I just needed a different character.
Okay, so let me step back. You just made a statement that you couldn't be out there without your makeup. Did I interpret that right?
Correct. I've hid behind Hollywood Harris for years and years and years.
Okay.
And I slowly, it took probably 25 years for me to remove the nose.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always wanted that nose so nobody knows who I was.
Okay.
And so that was the issue. But anyway, I can't do it without my makeup. I just really, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was burning out like a summer gun.
Going too hard? What were you doing?
I was burning. Yeah, I've been everywhere. I just hit the pinnacle of my career,
mm-hmm.
and my son's playing baseball,
mm-hmm.
and I can't be there.
Yeah.
I'm the coach.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of about, and back in the day, Bill McEnany told me, actually, Liesl Harris, he signed my card.
Okay.
And while he signed my card, he was putting on his makeup one day, and I said, Liesl, give me your best long-term advice.
Yeah.
Because I'm fixing to be doing this my whole life.
Yeah.
And he thought about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And he said, stay away from the things that burn you out.
Okay.
He said, if staying at motels burn you out, then, stay away from things that burn you out.
Okay.
So I said, okay. So, and then I talked to Bill McEnany, and Bill McEnany had so much burnout one time. He quit his job, permed his hair, and got a manager's job at Shoney's.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He'd been performing since he's 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now he said, I went into depression. So, I'm learning from all these old guys, I'm burning out. I need to go home with my kid.
Okay.
So I told Tommy Joe right then, I said, hey, man, I'm burning out. He goes, I can see it all over you.
Yeah.
He goes, you need a break.
Yeah.
And so, and I was out on the road, and Mom was at home, and I wasn't being right and living my life wrong. But all I know is I wanted to be back at home with my little booger head and play baseball.
Right. Right.
And so I said, you guys don't call me for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Really?
And
so you said, done. I'm stepping away. Thank you very much. But don't call me.
Actually, I went home and I put all my buckles out on the bed and all my little trinkets. You got little trinkets from each rodeo that mean something to you. I put all that crap out on the bed, and I looked at it, and I said, well, can I quit?
Mm-hmm.
I've been there, done that, man. I've been to Calgary Stampede. I've been to the PBR finals twice. I can quit.
Yeah.
Now let's go get me a real job.
Okay.
So I went to talking to people around there.
Yeah.
And I said, a thoroughbred manager, a farm manager, probably a good job. And a buddy of mine's the head of the Thoroughbred Managers Association. I went to him at church, and I said, hey, I need problem needed. He goes, well, what kind of money you need? And I said, about $1,500, $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
He's like, if you get a house, you might get $400 a week. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So where the hell are you going to make $1,500, $2,000 a week at home?
Yeah.
Without working your ass off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no. So I actually started in motion of building a school, North Florida Equestrian High School.
Okay.
And I spent a year day working and a few little tiny rodeos and a year and a half basically putting this school together. I was a board member at my son's charter school, and me and another lady, and we put a group of wonderful volunteers together to start North Florida Equestrian High School.
Yeah.
And when our county we found out their charter school unfriendly, and they denied our charter, we walked outside, and my partner there, president of my committee, she goes, "What are we going to do now?" Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
I plan on getting me a check from this thing, but
right.
She goes, "Well, Colleen closed the ice cream shop and make it open. You want to open that?" I went, "I don't know. I guess so. Call me tomorrow."
Ice cream shop. Okay.
She called me tomorrow, and we went up there and looked at this building. And she goes, "You study the ice cream, I'll study the coffee. Let's do coffee and ice cream and some sandwiches."
Okay.
I said, "All right, let's do it."
Okay.
And so we started a restaurant and everything. Come find out, it was wonderful people, great partnership, but our operating styles were a little different.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't enough money in a sandwich ice cream shop for two families.
Right.
So I bought them out. And off we went, and we had coffee and cream for quite some time, and so meanwhile I'm washing dishes every day, fast as I can do them, and going, "Damn, I wish I was rodeoing."
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I did. All of the rodeos that I couldn't work because I was gone to all the big ones.
Yeah.
I was gone to PBRs, I was gone to PRCA rodeos for 3-4 years, and I couldn't work any back home.
Yeah.
Well, now I can work all these around home again, and anything 6 hours or less, I was there.
You were.
And and that's when me and Booger Head started traveling a lot together.
Okay, so
of course, he's been everywhere, but I used him. Now he was, 8, 9.
Okay.
So we used him everywhere, and he started flying with me everywhere. And then slowly we started getting more and more rodeos, branching out a little further, and then he's flying everywhere with me by then. Okay.
So how long were you off? How long was your break? No rodeos, buckles and trinkets on the bed. Can I quit? You went off and did a bunch of other stuff. How long before?
4 months.
4 months, and you were back.
4 to 6 months, probably something like that.
Okay, so Liesl Harris.
No money motivates you.
Right? Yeah, it will. Liesl Harris gave you some long-term advice. He said, "Stay away from the things that burn you out." Did you figure out what was burning you out?
Yeah, at one point, driving to the rodeos was burning me out, and I had all the world's toughest, and they were bing, bang, boom, bam, boom. And if you stay gone, or if Cliff Harris stays gone, he ain't gonna have a wife very long.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that was.
I see.
And so I needed to come home every week.
Okay.
And so the first thing I did was, and I had too many acts to be flying.
Yeah.
At that time, I was hauling the Magic Act and other things, and I hadn't got it to where it was mobile and flying yet. But so I hired a driver.
Oh, you did?
And so I hired a driver, and believe it or not, we'd leave my house on Wednesday evening. I'd step in there, eat me some supper, and go to bed, and wake up at the TV station where we was in Toledo the next morning.
Okay.
And it was pretty cool to walk out from signing autographs, and George has got the door there open. And I step in, he locks it down, and off we go. And I get my makeup off while we're rolling.
Okay.
Like a big dog.
Like a big dog. Now you're in a motorhome?
I was in a trailer back then. I had the one that had all the pictures down the side of me and Booger Head.
Okay. But you could ride back there while he was driving, and you rested and did everything. Okay. So
eat my Cheerios, take a shower, the whole 9 yards.
So that relit you, if you will.
Well, it kept me from burning out.
Yeah,
it was okay for that year. And then after that, we made the acts to where we could fly with all of them.
Yeah.
And Booger Head said, "Dad, I want to quit baseball." He was really good.
Yeah.
They recruited him to this other park, and they were really good. And he said, "I want to quit baseball." And I said, "Why?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Because I want to go with you." I'm like, "Okay."
All right.
So it wasn't making a lot of money because I had like 2 plane tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everywhere we went, Brinson was with us, and the people loved it. When we got to the rodeo, they would say things like, in the production meeting, they go, "Booger Head, what you doing?"
Yeah.
They like him way better than me.
All right. So where'd Booger Head get his? Where'd he get his name? with a nickname.
When he was real little.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I could, you teach him tricks right off the bat. The only thing I could do to make him laugh and smile is stick my finger in his nose and then go to his mouth.
Oh.
And I go, eat your booger. I say, pick your nose and eat your boogers, my little booger head.
There you go.
And he'd grin from ear to ear, And so every single morning when I'd go in to wake him up in bed in there, I'd start with, he's my little booger head. My booger head is he. I love my little booger head. My booger head loves me. And I'd sit there and sing it to him, and he'd try to pretend being asleep.
Okay.
He'd sit there, and I go, oh, my gosh, look how good acting he is.
Yeah.
And then he'd just bust out, He couldn't hold it. So the kid woke up grinning and smiling and laughing every day. That's our plan.
Okay. Excellent. First time I saw Booger Head, you talked about World's Toughest. We were in Cleveland, had to be 1998 or 1999, in the Gund Arena, which is brand new at the time. Beautiful facility, beautiful. The Cavaliers played there, or play there probably still. And
that's where you don't see daylight for 3 days.
Absolutely. And you came in and you were carrying a bag, right? This was your act. And if I remember right, the house goes dark and you're under a spotlight. Back to the pantomime, back to all the physical movement, that sort of thing. And you had this bag. Can you tell us about that? Can you tell our listeners about that act? Set it up all the way to the beginning.
It was the latest Christmas gift, trick roper in a bag.
Okay.
So, we dressed my little booger head up and put him in a bag. It was a laundry bag with a little jerk string at the end of it, and I'd throw him over my shoulder, and out we'd go, and I'd set him down, and I'd start trick roping. And of course, I can't trick rope really good, but da-da-da-da-da-da, and they're playing a little music, So, okay, I got to go. And I'd start to leave, and they say, hey, what's in the bag? I said, don't worry about it. It's my dirty underwear. No, it's not.
Yeah.
What's in the bag? There's some stuff missing up here. We want to know what's in the bag. And so they changed my music to Barney music. And I'd open the bag, and he'd stand up and pop up out of there, and he had a little costume on and his little nose and his little goofy hat. And he did that from the time he was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And all he had to do was wave at everybody, spin the little kid's trick rope, wave again, and then back down in the bag he went, and I threw him over his shoulder, and out we went.
Yeah.
And then Mom was selling the ropes in the crowd.
Yeah.
So that was always a good thing.
Okay. Well, just so you know, 1998, 1999, hadn't met you yet. I'm sitting in the crowd, okay? We're watching the rodeo. I remember that clear as day, dude.
Wow.
Isn't that something? So what a great impression.
The Gund Arena, would that have been, that would have been Gander's probably, I guess.
I think so. World's Toughest. I'm pretty sure it was like on a Sunday afternoon we were there. And clear as day, I can remember that. And that's quite a while ago already.
Yeah. Or see, we did Longhorn Rodeo, but I didn't do that act at Longhorn Rodeo.
Okay. In the Gund? No, this was
Correct.
In the Gund, and it was that act. You had him in the bag.
Yeah. That would have been World's Toughest more likely. Yeah.
Okay. And that would have been 98 or 99, something like that.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, Brinson was five or six. I kept him in the bag until I dropped him, until he got too heavy. He was like, he's little his whole life.
Yeah.
He was like 8 years old. I was still packing him in the damn bag. And I crawled over a fence and I accidentally dropped him. Oh, crap, man, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm all right. He's like, got my kid in the bag. He's like, yeah, I'm okay, Dad.
Yeah.
I've been doing the act too long when your kid talks back to you that way.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when I first met you, we were at the International Finals Rodeo, and I know you had worked that in 1990 and again in 1994. So that was fairly early in your career, Cliff?
Yeah, the what I had to do was see a clown named John Gilstrap was the king of them in the IPRA back then. He had a bull. He did really well. He had all the Longhorn rodeos. He was the guy I was looking at that I wanted his job, basically.
Okay.
And or I wanted to be at that level. And so IPRA was kind of where it was. PRCA was the people that were stealing my acts.
Okay.
And and I really didn't have. And in Florida, we had a lot of IPRA rodeos and whatnot, so we kind of come up. And if you had a high school card, you rode IPRA for free. You didn't have to buy a card.
Okay.
So that's kind of in rodeo in the winter was all IPRA rodeos. So that's kind of where we started. And they had. So I went to Green Cove Springs, and John Gilstrap was over there. This is when I first started, and I wanted to watch him and then ask him, what do I need to do? I showed him my quick draw act. I said, what do I need to do? He goes, you need to go to the contract act showcase in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
And so back then it wasn't a contest. You just did your stuff, and everybody looked.
Yeah.
And there was no money, there was no entry fee, there was no prize.
Yep.
You just did acts, and people would hire you.
Mm-hmm.
And I did quick draw right there, and bam, they actually the head, what do you call it, the head guy of the contract acts department. Anyway, he gave me my card. I didn't even have to buy a card.
Oh wow. Okay.
He's like, holy shit, that was good. Do you have an IPRA? No. Okay, we're going to give you one.
Yeah.
And they gave me my IPRA card, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I booked several rodeos, and I think it was actually, there was one clown I tried to ask for advice. Brother Taylor, you don't ask that son of a gun for advice at all.
Okay.
I said, how much should I charge? Oh, you can't. And kept walking, you know?
Yeah.
He wouldn't help nobody for nothing.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I priced one rodeo too high.
Yeah.
And they didn't call back.
Okay.
And so the next guy that called, by golly, I was going to get it.
Yeah.
And he says, what do you charge? And I said, what are we doing? He goes, I want you to fight bulls and do acts at all my rodeos. All of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, $200 a night. He goes, hired. It was Preston Folks. And he had a bunch of rodeos.
You bet.
And, of course, I did $200 a night. I fought bulls and did 2 acts.
Yep.
So that was kind of that back then,
Yeah. And got your miles and everything there.
Yeah, well, and the very first year, my quick draw was went to the finals, and so then after that, I started booking all the bigger rodeos.
Okay,
yeah.
And you competed in that IFR contract showcase a number of years there in Oklahoma City, right?
Actually, we developed the curriculum for it.
Okay.
In fact, is a funny story with that is Keith Isley and myself. We're on the committee. Okay.
Yeah.
Keith didn't care for me. He didn't care for me at all.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because I was taking the jobs and I getting all the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting there, and he's kind of quiet. And before the girls showed up, he goes, Hollywood, me and you need to talk. I said, cool. What do we want to talk about? And he goes, you got to up your price. I was like, great. I would love to up my price.
Yeah.
What does my price need to be? He goes, minimum 500.
Okay.
I said, okay.
Okay.
And I was getting like 300 then, He goes, minimum 500, minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You can get as much as 750. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, okay. So the next person that called was Jerome Robinson.
Yeah.
And I charged him $500, and off we went. And I was like, holy crap, this is great.
Yeah.
Come on, $1,500 a weekend, stuff like that.
You bet.
So, that was, and of course, me and Keith are fine now today, always been fine. He's a great performer. We both respect each other, what we do. And so I was thankful at that time. I had no idea,
Yeah. I want to go back to the Contract Act Showcase, a little bit of trivia. That's where I first met you.
Oh, cool.
Person to person. I don't know if you remember this. You had kind of a talk, right? Kind of a forum where you were talking rodeo clowns, rodeo announcers, that sort of thing, giving some advice, a little bit to look for.
Was that the more money for your funny?
I think so. Yeah. Like 2000, 2001, maybe.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, you were there, and you were the speaker, and we were listening.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And at that year's Contract Act Showcase, and my wife just mentioned this, my wife Laura, she worked music for that Contract Act Showcase, and you came up and helped her, and she remembered that from the get-go.
Oh, very cool.
You bet.
Very cool.
You were just very kind and very helpful.
Hey, while we're, I forgot to mention one thing about when Randy Bernard and I were when he asked me what can we do about that?
Yeah.
After I went back in my dressing room, this is another very important change that the PBR did.
Yeah.
Is I went to the cameraman, and the cameraman had just, I put him in black. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. And I said, hey, what'd y'all get y'all ass eat out for? He goes, for staying on the bullfighters too much.
Okay.
So back then we had people like Jimmy Anderson with the horns and stuff.
Yeah.
And costumes.
Yeah.
And when they would hook up with a bull, the cameraman would follow that action.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
you take your camera and you put it on that kid walking back to those bucking chutes.
I see.
We don't care about this action. And the guy says, but they're so colorful. He goes, I'll put them in black if I have to.
I see. Okay.
And so the very next year, Carhartt was a sponsor with black shirts and black shorts.
Okay. That's when they went away.
And so that's where that came from.
Okay.
And the other thing is that Flint comes in the next year.
Yeah.
And see, back then I had them at $1,500 a night, and nobody was getting $1,500 a night.
Right.
Flint came in a little cheaper, but they paid all of his expenses.
Okay.
His deal was X amount net.
Okay.
When I'm heading home. And I thought about it, and I went, well, if I partied much, I wouldn't get home more than much of that anyway.
Right.
So he's probably about right. At least he didn't have to shuck the money for a car, a room, and a flight.
Okay.
And so he's doing pretty smart there.
Yeah,
well, it was a year or two later. See, and we wouldn't wear their jerseys. Bullfighters wouldn't wear them because they're holding out they want to wear our money. They want us to wear the shirts, but not give us the money that they'd already got.
I see.
So we were holding out. Well, Flint comes in, and I don't know what went down, but anyway, he puts on a sponsor shirt within the next year or two.
Okay.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, it's either the second year or third year he was there, the pants came off and shorts matched a jersey.
I see.
Changing everything.
Yep.
So now everybody wants to be that guy on TV.
Yeah.
With shirt and jersey. Flint had a good vocabulary. He was a smart guy, a teacher, and he's not going to get on the microphone and get everybody in trouble.
Right.
So that's why it worked. If you're not very good on that microphone, you kind of need to be physical comedy.
Okay. I see.
You with me?
You bet.
He was pretty handy. He was pretty handy on the microphone.
Okay.
But that's when the entertainer part came. We don't want any clowns. How can we be different? There's a clown out there. He's not a clown. He's an entertainer.
I see.
That's when it changed. Don't call me a clown because I'm a PBR entertainer.
I see. Okay.
That's kind of how that went down.
Okay.
They want to stay as far away from the words rodeo clown as they can.
Okay, because you said earlier they're distancing themselves or wanted to distance themselves from rodeo. They wanted to be bullfighting. Got it.
It started with, this ain't your granddaddy's rodeo. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
It's the PBR.
Yeah. I'll be darned. Okay.
So that's how that went down.
Okay. So you come back, you start your coffee and cream, right? And when I met you, you had this going when we started working together, which would be probably Benton, Pennsylvania, that sort of thing. Do you remember?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And Booger Head was coming around. He was working with you and everything. And you did a lot of stuff up to the Northeast, Cliff. You came up Benton, Ford City, Ellicottville, Attica, Brookville, Huntington. You did up into Maine.
Yep.
Right? You had good runs.
Yep.
So worked with Rawhide, worked with Sam Swearingen.
Yep. Doing this as long as I've done it.
Yeah.
You can show up to a rodeo, and I'm not going to name names or name companies, but when you get there, hey, how you doing, Hollywood? All right. And then, the pickup man don't talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
None of the help talks to you.
Okay.
Now, you're just there to get a damn check, tell a joke, and get a check.
Yeah.
And get the heck out of town, get back home as fast as I can.
Yeah.
That's not the way I operate.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a little more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was why we stayed so long with play. And, there, in the past few years, we've been working in North Dakota with Abrahamsons. And Kelly Abrahamson and I fought bulls together back for Mossbrucker back in the day. And so we've just hooked back up. And just, when you got a guy that hands you the checkbook and says, here, write your check.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got his little scribble of his name on it, but you know, he scribbles so bad that he makes me write my own check. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's like working with family. So I kind of choose where I work now, and it's all about who I'm working for. If I'm not really happy there, I ain't gonna go there.
Yeah, for sure. And back to that burnout, right? How do you stay fresh? How do you stay energized?
COVID.
Yeah, right. That woke us up.
When COVID happened, it took it all away.
Yep.
And it made me realize why I actually do this and why I'm so happy in this world is those crowds of people that I get to walk out and entertain and work on my material. And I've got a girl that travels with me now, Kalani, that we work on my material together.
Okay.
And she's pretty funny as well. So we try to write some stuff and pull up stuff and just, you know, pushing my talent and my creativity. And the fact, you know, when we got back to being able to stand in front of them and look at them and tell a joke again, it was very big for me because, you know, we went a year without any rodeos. And who the hell would have thought we did that?
Right. Yeah. And I was going to ask, and I'm glad you brought this up, how do you come up with new material? Do you practice going down? So I'm envisioning, based on what you just said, you're driving down the road. You still driving to the rodeos, meaning cars? You showed up one time in a pretty hot Mustang, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we fly. We used to fly everywhere and rent Mustangs every weekend. Me and Booger Head, we love the Mustangs. But no, you know, once I got this girl that likes to go, we got us a motor home, and we play poker in between shows and in between rodeos and drive, and we have a blast, just a blast.
Okay, so you're working material, you're writing stuff down, you're trying it out, you're building it out, and that's got to be energizing too, I should imagine.
You know, Doug, I'm a hack.
A hack.
I'm a hack.
Okay.
I've always been a hack when it comes to jokes. I can't write my own joke. I've written 4 jokes at myself.
Okay.
But when it comes to jokes, I got to rip them off from other places.
Okay.
And bless their hearts, all these comments on TV and stuff, I'm stealing right and left.
Okay.
And so now we've tried to, I've started doing some stand-up. And those jokes will be mine, and they'll be stories of mine. And so we've started doing a few of those, and I'll tell some of those at the show.
Yeah.
But these quick, easy one-liners that are funny, that gets everybody's attention, that gets them listening to me, those things I'll knock them off the TV and stuff and just change them a little. You know? As far as acts go, they've all been mine. I've ripped up a couple off the internet that we see people doing. Tape Face, if you remember him from America's Got Talent, we stole an act from him.
Okay.
And but me and Booger Head do it still. But you know, we try to the turkey races. That's the funniest thing that we got going right now is from Brinson, and he comes. I took him to private school, and every time I pick him up, I say, "What'd you do today?" "Oh, we played."
Yeah.
You know, here it is, private school, man. We're paying for it.
Yeah.
And so finally he goes, "Dad, look and see what we did today." And he put these hoodies on upside down, and he ran around the yard. I went, "Holy crap, that's funny."
Yeah.
And so we did that at the rodeo one time, and he just ran around like a chicken and ran out the gate. "Hey, don't let him out the building," you know, and we're done.
Yeah.
It just looked funny. Well, once he got the PBRs, he called me and goes, "Dad, I got to act," which he's been saying his entire life since he's 4 years old. "Dad, I got to act."
Okay.
He calls me and goes, "Dad, I got to act." I was like, "What is it this time?" He says, it's the turkey shooting, but we put 3 people out of the crowd and we make them have a little obstacle race. I was like, "Holy crap, that's a great idea."
Okay.
So he's come up with several really good ones.
Okay.
While he's out on the road like this, you know, and he'll call me every time, "What about this?" And we'll tweak it a little bit, and he'll go and try it.
Yeah. And we got to see Booger Head this summer. We saw him in Nashville at the PBR Teams event.
Nice.
We were up in the stands, right? And he happens, I mean, he's crawling and balancing on railings and crazy stuff, right? I mean, he's coming up through the crowd, and he spots me, and in the middle of it takes my camera, and we shoot a selfie, of course. And then I saw him at St. Tite, and we're going to talk about St. Tite here in 2 seconds, Cliff.
Cool.
I saw him in St. Tite, and we had, again, he came up, we were sitting on the stage, by the announcers, and he came up and sat down beside me, and we just had it was just so cool to see him, such great energy, and what he's doing up there, no mic. I mean, it was just magical what he was doing. And I happened to be watching a video of you today at St. Tite, right? The dancing when the tractor's dragging. Talk a little bit about St. Tite, if you would, for us.
Well, St. Tite, people ask me, what's your favorite rodeo? Or what's your, things like that. And of course, I always tell them that the Calgary Stampede is probably the biggest thing you'll ever see. And the rodeo is the pre-show. I mean, the Calgary Stampede is unbelievable. Yeah. But the St. Tite Festival Western, oh my gosh, there's no more exciting rodeo than you'll ever see. That's what I tell everybody. And, I always say about, you've seen Buddy Pickup at the horse shows, right? Well, there's 25,000 added there. So, it's a different rodeo, and it's exciting. And, nowhere else do people jump up on their feet and start dancing, singing, and drinking their beers while the tractor's dragging the arena.
Absolutely.
I mean, unbelievable. So I'll never forget, I worked at half of it for Ryan Rodriguez back in the day. And it was a great experience. And then I came back, and then I did 1 year, and then Booger Head did 1 year.
Okay.
And then we were going to come together on the 50th. And we did just that.
Okay.
And after the first performance, I went into the production room, and BJ and Sylvain were sitting there, and it was just us. I looked at them and I said, guys, I'm not trying to get out of work, but I'm in that kid's way.
Okay.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And they kind of looked at each other and smiled, and I knew they were thinking that. Back in the, if you've been to St. Tite, there's only one gate to walk in. You got to climb over a fence somewhere.
Right.
Everywhere. You can't go anywhere without climbing over a fence or two. Well, back in the day, everywhere I'd go was this little kid behind me climbing over fences, boom, 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 right behind me, right up my butt, always.
Yeah.
And I felt like that with my kid.
Yeah.
I was trying to climb over fences. The first thing that happened is my shoulder went out of joint out back.
Oh, wow.
And then here I am trying to climb over fences with my shoulder out. So I get it back into place, and then we finally get back out there.
Yeah.
But that crowd is so responsive to him.
Man. Oh, man.
If we went out, they introduced us together, and it's a father and son, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And that's all fine and dandy. Now you go work because there was no, when I walked out, it was not the same energy. I was in his way.
Okay.
And so I told him, he's like, Dad, you're getting half the money. You're not going to get out of the work.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm not trying to get out of work, kid. I just want, we want to have the show right. And so, of course, we did the Metamorphosis there that year. It worked really well. And we did it together, and we did some acts together. So that all worked out fine. But when it's go out there and pump the crowd, I stayed the hell out of the way and let the kid go do it.
Okay.
He knows that crowd really well, and they respond to him unbelievably.
You bet. It was great. He did a great job this year. Very entertaining. The first night I was there, I think it was Wednesday night rodeo, and he comes out, and he just goes to the center of the arena. He's not mic'd up or anything, and he clapped his hands 3 times, and they immediately followed, and he stamped his feet. Yeah. Right? And he let him right off into the hockey playing song, whatever that song is. And it just was like that. And it was a 3-minute bit. And man, he just picked him up, and he wherever he wanted to go, they went at that point.
Yeah.
It was just great fun.
And the more he does it there, the more that responsive they'll be, because that crowd ties themselves to a person. You know what I mean?
You bet.
And so I think it'll be a good one for him if he's able to stay.
You bet. No, it was just great fun to see him and catch up with him there just very, very briefly. I was in the dressing room and everything under the grandstand before he went out.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah. So let's shift gears just a little bit. Let's go back to bullfighting. Of course, we got to talk injuries, and this, I think, was after you and I had finished working together. I retired in 2019, right after the Benton Rodeo, and you got in a wreck up around Boston in the rodeo arena. Talk just a little bit about that, if you would, Cliff.
Well, it changed my life, Doug. I mean, everything kind of hit the fan then. We were at Boston at Topsfield Fair, and it was a rawhide rodeo. And bull riding was going on, and one of Waltzy's bulls, and he bucked his kid off pretty quick, ranked bull, and it stepped in his nuts. And so I run in there and grabbed the kid up and was headed to the fence with him while the guys pulled the bull away. And we had flown in, and so we didn't have a barrel, and Brinson was kind of on the fence, and I was kind of just standing around out there like I do. And I grab this kid, and I go to the fence with him, and I put him up on the fence and help him up there. And then I look down the pin, and that bull's turned around from the other end, and he's coming back.
Oh, wow.
And when I went to get up on this rodeo panel, it was tied to the horse show solid fence with one rodeo rope.
Okay.
As we call it. And I got on the panel, and the kid's on top, and I get up there, and it leans way into the arena. You know what I mean? It's tied with one damn rope.
Yeah.
So there's no climbing up this fence.
Yeah.
Or I would have been gone already.
Yeah.
So I get on the fence holding this kid that stepped his nuts going, ugh!
Yeah.
And I'm holding him up there on top of the fence. I was like, get on over. Here comes the bull. And he gets over, and I can't get over.
Yeah.
So I just freeze right there about the second rung up and hope he runs on by. Well, his right horn is kind of a queer horn, kind of a cow horn, and it's got a funny hook to it. Anyway, I just froze right there, expecting it. Well, then he hooks me in the ass, and I expected to go on over the fence like he's supposed to. You know?
Right.
Well, he rips me off the fence. I'm like, what the hell? And just rips me away from the fence.
Oh, my.
And then next thing you know, I'm looking down, and my feet are caught around my clown pants are caught around my feet, and my suspenders are stretching all the way down there.
Wow.
I'm like, come on, suspenders, bust.
Yeah,
I thought he had me in the suspenders.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, bust. And the badass suspenders that dig in hard.
Yeah.
And, big badass construction suspenders. And they wasn't coming off. So I thought he was in my suspenders. And then the next thing you know, I'm swinging like a top. I mean, I can feel the force. I'm hung to his head, and he's spinning. And I'm swinging, and he stops, and he goes back the other way. And every time he'd stop, he'd hook me a little bit, and then he'd go back the other way. I'm swinging the other way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he gets tired and starts loping down the pin and big hop jumps.
With you still on his head?
I am hooked to his head by my feet. Stretched out, and my head's banging off his nuts.
Oh, my goodness. So underneath him.
I'm underneath him.
Wow.
And I know saddle bronc riding, and you face down. The only thing you can do is concentrate and fight. And the person who fights the most is the winner.
Right.
And so when you hung to a bitch, you're going to have to face down. And he jerked me, and up I'd go, and face up I'd be. And face down, and I'd roll face down. And then I keep spinning, and then I feel my leg break. It's my left leg.
Wow.
And I felt it break.
Oh,
and
geez.
at that point, I gave up, Doug.
You did.
And when I give up,
everything turned to slow.
Okay.
It went to creeping. And the only way I can describe it is on Dallas Buyers Club. Matthew McConaughey takes a sip off his whiskey and as skinny as a rail and nods for his bull.
Okay.
And when he does, it all goes to slow motion, and you can hear the highest pitch. I don't know what it is, but that triggered me.
Okay.
As soon as I saw that, immediately I had to get up and go somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what it felt like. The world stopped, and all I can do is pray.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I visioned myself underneath him in the stripping chute.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're all the way at the other end of the pen.
He's hauled you all the way to the end of the pen. Okay.
Yeah, and now all I can envision is the stripping chute with me underneath him.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I ain't coming off.
Yeah.
So the announcer, Greg Simus,
Mm-hmm.
said I was hung to his head for 50 seconds.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
The guy who's passed away now that used to do bulls for Sean Graham,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good guy.
Yeah.
He was in the back pens at the stripping chute.
Okay.
And he broke out his flip phone, and he called Sean Graham.
Yeah.
And he said, "You're not going to believe what's happening to Hollywood right now." So he had time to do that.
Holy cow. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
While I was hung.
Oh, my goodness.
He told me himself.
And the bullfighters
I
couldn't get to you? I mean, there was nothing to be done?
No, and we had, who's the bronc rider from up there that's really, really good? A little short guy from Pennsylvania.
Chad Chadaleski?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chadaleski was horseback with a rope.
Yeah.
And he said, Hollywood, I couldn't rope nothing. You're hung to his head and your bounces off his back feet.
Yeah.
I couldn't rope nothing.
Yeah.
I'm all over him,
Yeah. Wow.
And so, as soon as I gave up
Mm-hmm.
and visualized myself in the stripping chute
Yeah.
and asked God to help, bam, I came out.
You did.
All of a sudden, boom, I'm done. I'm out, and my shoes came off is what happened.
Okay.
My shoes came off, and boom, I'm out, and I'm on my hands and knees. I know he'd already kicked my shoulder out of joint,
Okay.
and then my leg broke.
Okay.
So I felt my shoulder go out of joint, and then I felt my leg broke. And so when I'm out and I'm on my hands and knees and I'm hauling butt to the fence on my hands and knees, and my knee's okay.
Okay.
So I thought he'd snap my knee off,
Okay.
But my knee's okay. I'm like, oh, good. It's just my shoulder. That's what I was thinking as I was crawling.
Yeah.
It's just my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I get to the fence and I roll over and I look down and I've got a Joe Theismann going on.
Okay.
Where your legs broke down there in the middle and it's flopping over here to the side.
Yep.
And Booger Head was the first one to me.
Yeah.
And I said, straighten that leg. He said, sir?
Yeah.
I said, you heard me. Straighten that leg right now.
Yeah.
And he pulls it straight.
Yeah.
And I said, now look in the sock. Is there any blood in that sock? He said, no, sir.
Okay.
I said, keep your eye on that blood. Make sure there's no blood in that sock.
No compound
Yes,
fracture,
sir.
right?
Yeah, no
Okay.
compound. We don't want that.
You
we
bet.
don't want to be bleeding there.
Yeah, bet.
So he's like, no, sir, you're good. And so
Holy cow.
they had to, and believe, I always go to the medics ahead of time, introduce myself, thank them for coming, and I tell them, look, if anything goes down, you look at me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be telling you whether to come or not.
Yeah.
And I had already introduced myself to that lady and everything. Well, out at the fair, there was somebody that their cell phone fell out of their pocket on the ride, and it hit somebody in the head, and so the ambulance was out yonder.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So they finally get the ambulance in there to me.
Wow.
It took a while. I didn't realize this, but it took a while. Anyway, this is the funny part. So they get me on the gurney.
Yeah.
And they go to put it up in the ambulance. They say, wait, we got him on it backwards.
On the gurney backwards.
Yeah, so they picked me up.
Okay.
They picked me up with a shoulder out of joint and a broke-ass leg.
Okay.
They picked me up and spin the thing around back up under me.
Okay.
And then they put me down on it.
Okay.
Then they said, wait, we had it right before.
Oh, my goodness. So, come on, tell the truth. Was this part of your act? Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to do my act. No, they tried to do Gizmo's act.
There you go.
So anyway, I was like, what the heck? I was like, come on, guys, really?
Yeah.
And so they put me in the ambulance, haul me away, and I look out the back of the ambulance, and Sam Swearengen's standing there, white as a sheet.
Yeah.
And he gives me the thumbs up. Are you okay? I said, yes, sir, I'm all right. And I give him a thumbs up back.
Wow.
And out we went. And we had flown in there. We had the dog, Brinson, 4 bags. So I had surgery the next day, and Brinson took over. And, of course, he did just fine.
Yeah.
And that's when I had 12 major PBRs and major markets all booked through Canada.
Okay.
And Richard Jones had been a producer at many events and PBR events that Brinson had been with me.
Yep.
And part of the act, part of the show, his whole life. And he had a 17-year-old son, too. And I said, hey, Richard, I'm sending Brinson because I can't come. I got a broke leg.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, you think he's ready? I said, I know he's ready.
Yeah.
I said, if you'll take care of him like you take care of your son, then I'll send him to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so he turned 18 in November, and December he was gone to those events. And I had him set up with, the guy that stands there when you get off the plane, has got the little piece of paper waiting on you.
Yep.
Somebody set up with all that and everything. Hell, he's barely just turned 18.
Wow.
And so he killed them at those events. He did well. The first time this goes back to that entertainer thing you were talking about. I called Richard Jones after that first weekend. I said, hey, what about it? How'd he do? He goes, oh, he's all right. And he said, we just got to knock a little bit more of that rodeo off of him.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So there comes some, we got to knock a little bit more of that rodeo off of him. He'll be all right. So, and of course you see, and then he calls me because he didn't know what to be. He didn't know where I said, you're damn sure not wearing shorts.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, you're not going to wear shorts like Flint. You're not going to go in there looking like everyone else. You got to be different.
Yep.
And so he was wearing his clown pants and a jersey, and he asked the guys, he was Booger Head, and Sean Gleason said, there'll be no Booger Heads in the PBR.
Right.
He called me, he goes, Dad, they don't want me to be Booger Head.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how about Boogie James? Because you dance.
Right.
And he goes to the guy, he goes, what about Boogie James? And he looks at him and says, how about just be your name, kid?
Yeah.
Kind of pissed off.
Okay.
And he called me and goes, Dad, the guy was kind of pissed off. He said, just be your name. I said, then you're Brinson James.
There you go.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's what you are. You're Brinson James, the entertainer.
Okay.
And he goes, okay. So, boom, that was it. And that's kind of how, we got him started over there anyway.
Yeah, you bet.
It was all because of the wreck in Boston.
Yeah, okay. Now, not the first time you dislocated your shoulder, right?
Not the first time.
Okay.
No.
And they put that back, and are you okay now with the shoulder, as you're getting older?
Well,
and
we
aging?
didn't get it. Anybody that's got shoulder problems, we didn't get it fixed again. It was fixed back in, the 80s.
Okay.
And, but I didn't get it fixed again. And actually now my good shoulder is my bad shoulder.
Oh,
so
wow. Okay.
It'll still come out of joint if I, shower wrong or roll over in bed wrong or something
really?
like that. But,
really? And you can put it back in pretty easy?
Well, it ain't easy, but I can get it back.
And the leg all healed up?
The leg, actually, I would believe it or not, that was the story in itself. I'm up there in Gainesville trying to get, and the guy says, yeah, well, you need a trauma surgeon. I said, no, it was sports medicine. I went to the sports medicine place.
Okay.
And here's these very high quality, they do all the people at University of Florida. And when we walked through, I got this general doctor guy, okay? I don't have the sports medicine guys. I got this general guy. And it's like the third time I've been in there to see him, and they keep messing me around. We got 4 weeks now. I'm fixing to go back rodeoing for long. I got to get this thing fixed.
Right.
Because it wasn't working right. We got it fixed up there, came home, and it was bad, crooked, bad, wrong. It was bad, and I had to have it fixed.
Oh, you did?
So
okay.
I go to these sports medicine guys. Come on. And I walk by their break room, and there's them 3 doctors. I know what they look like. They're sitting in there with their feet up.
Yeah.
And so we get in the room, and I said, look, man. And finally I said, Doc, I thought maybe you got in this business to help people. But now you're probably in it for the money.
Yeah.
He goes, I need fixed. I said, I need fixed, and I need fixed now because I got to go back to work and feed my family. He goes, Mr. Harris, what would you like for me to do?
Yeah.
A smart ass kind of.
Yeah.
And I said, what I want you to do is go down there to your cronies in the sports medicine section. Tell them to come fix me.
Yeah.
Instead of talking to you. Go down there and get the guys who can fix my leg.
Yeah.
He looks at me and goes, I'll be right back.
Okay.
And he takes my x-rays down there, and he comes back and said, they looked at it, and you need a trauma surgeon.
Really? Okay.
Oh, crap.
Okay.
All right, whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I hope it's not Sadasafan, because I'd already been warned. Don't go to him.
Okay.
Well, sure enough, it's Sadasafan.
Okay.
But he's an ankle guy, they say.
Yeah.
And so I get there to the thing, and he looks at me. I said, why aren't I sports medicine? He laughed. He goes, Mr. Harris. He said, you're 53. He said, sports medicine
said 18 to 25.
Oh.
You know sports medicine.
Well.
You 53.
Yeah.
You trauma. You got no cartilage.
Mm.
Young people have cartilage and they can heal back. You
Yeah.
got no cartilage.
Okay.
He said, you 53. And he laughed.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, why didn't somebody tell me that before? But
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So he said, now in Dallas, and as soon as he said Dallas, bing, the light went off. In my phone, I got Tandy Freeman's cell number.
Oh, good golly. Okay.
I mean, we used to ride on plane together every weekend, you know.
Bet. You bet.
And I said, oh crap! Why didn't I think about Tandy? I hadn't thought about him yet. So I called Tandy and said, dude, I'm fixing to have a fusion, yada yada yada. I don't want to fuse it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, okay, the guy who taught me everything I know is here in Dallas.
Yep.
And
Yep.
And so I went to Dallas
You did.
and to expect to get fixed.
Yeah.
And he said, no, sorry, we got to fuse it.
Gotta fuse it.
Yeah. So they fused it, and you know, I still jog a little. I still
Okay.
jog slower than everybody else,
Okay.
but I can still get around, and all's good. It feels good. And he said, come see me in 10 years. I'll put you a new ankle joint in there.
Okay. Okay.
So I called him probably 2 months ago
Really?
and said, hey, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
He said he's going to put a new ankle joint. Has he built one yet?
Yeah.
And I said he's working on a really, really good one called the Star now. Anyway, so if I want to go through with that, I can probably go get another ankle joint. But other than that, it's fused, got a bunch of screws in it.
And
We
pain?
just keep on keeping on.
And pain?
Not nearly as much as the rest of my body.
Okay. Okay. So you're still back working? You're still going hard, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I did 41 rodeos this year.
You did.
I just got done. I got one more freebie for the church. And other than that, we're doing good. Yeah.
Okay. And 2024's booked? Looks good?
Yeah, I've really wanted to start staying in Texas. You know, finally Texas started paying enough for their entertainers.
Okay.
And we got some guys out there, Johnny Dudley and some other folks who finally got our prices up.
Okay.
And because Texas was the cheapest place in a while, one guy's been working out there forever.
Yeah.
And so I really want to stay in Texas. I'm just sick and tired of bouncing around the country.
Yeah.
Because COVID kind of screwed up our runs.
Yeah.
I used to go to Canada all in July and then Australia in August. And now that took all away, so I had to kind of build new runs. And I've been bouncing around the country for 3 years now.
Okay.
Bing, bang, boom, boom,
Okay.
back and forth. And
Okay.
I want to quit that. And every little town's got a new poker room in Texas, so that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. So in this section of our episode, I'm gonna give you several of our listeners have some interesting questions they want to know about you. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Let's start at the beginning here. How did you get the name Hollywood?
Me and my buddy Charlie Albright were going from Texas to Florida to work a little rodeo for Bo Campbell, and I needed a name.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody called, hey, clown, hey, clown, hey, clown. Well, my name's Cliff. They don't remember that. Hey, clown, hey, clown.
Yeah.
And so we were going, how about Bobo, Bebo, all these crappy names, you know. And he goes, what about Hollywood Harris?
Yeah.
I went, okay, well, I don't like Hollywood. That I don't like that. You know, like, hey, that's old Hollywood. You know, it's not me, but it was alliterative.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Hollywood Harris, and it worked. So that night we tried it, and all the kids were like, hey, Hollywood, hey, Hollywood,
There you
hey,
go.
Hollywood.
There you
So
go.
it worked.
And what year would
so
that have
that's the
been?
only reason. I'm sorry?
What year would that have been?
Ooh, that would have been 85 or
And
6.
that's something. Okay, all this time. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, here's another question. How did you choose your makeup? So let me break this down a little bit. Are you today what you're wearing in the arena the same as what you started back in the mid 80s?
Yes.
It is.
Minus the nose.
Minus
I wore
the
a Wuchie
nose.
I wore a Wuchie nose
Okay.
to change the look of my face a little bit.
Okay.
But minus the nose, yes.
Okay. Where did that come from? How did you find that?
I thought I was doing Emmett Kelly.
Emmett Kelly.
It's a
Okay.
hobo style clown.
Mhm.
And I thought I was putting Emmett Kelly's face on, and come to find out is nowhere near.
No.
It's kind of the same premise with the down mouth as far as hobo, but it was nowhere near. In fact, I called it, when you hold them together, mine looks like a cartoon hobo clown.
Okay.
Way more makeup, way more solid. And it wasn't until I asked for we were talking about going to Australia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she texts me and she goes, I don't know how to ask this, but can you change your makeup? I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why? And she goes, well, we're having a lot of racial issues around here. So some people of color take that face as a black face.
I see.
Which it's not.
No.
It's a hobo face.
Okay.
It's a hobo clown.
Yeah.
But with that makeup being as black as black,
yeah,
it looks like it.
Okay.
And so, big round white eyes and a mouth like that and black all over everywhere else.
Yeah.
It kind of, so I can see where it looks like it. So, of course, I can change.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change my face. So now what I do is I just barely make the beard part black.
Yeah, I see that.
Just like spread it really thin.
Yeah.
And so it looks more like bearded than black ass black.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. All right, another question.
That's how I got it.
Okay, perfect. Another question, your baggies. That's pretty unique the way you wear them. They're longer. Where in the world, when did you start wearing them and where do you find them?
Wrangler. Yeah,
off the shelf.
They're clown. They're specifically made for clowns. They
are
have two styles.
Okay.
One is 52 20s.
Okay.
Which is 52 waist, 20-inch legs.
Okay.
That becomes the funny part. That your crotch part is way down there.
Yeah.
And then the others are long pants ones that you'll see Keith Isley wearing.
I see.
And they're 50. They might be 50 30s or 50 35s, but anyway, they're longer leg, and they'll call them bullfighters because bullfighters can jack them up and wear them long pants.
Okay.
So back in the day, like for instance, if you'd be watching Rex Dunn, Rex Dunn would be wearing those style.
Okay.
In fact, he might even have Lee Riders, but they're two different sizes that we get from Wrangler, and you're entitled to 2 pair a year if you have a PRCA card.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And you've worn those all the way through your career?
Yes, Wranglers. Yep.
Okay. All right, here's another question. How far ahead do you schedule? We just talked about 2024. How far ahead do you schedule?
I probably got 10 rodeos booked for next year already. And we're talking about one for, maybe 2 at the outside for the following year. Some bigger rodeos can book you 2 years out. They've got Johnny Dudley or somebody for the next one and say, hey, how about 25? I think it was Giddings, Texas or something. I talked to him the other day and he said, yeah, can we book for 25? I'm like, yeah,
wow.
Sure.
Wow.
So, some of the larger ones and those Texas ones, they reach out a little earlier. So thank goodness. So I've got, like I said, 10, and I'm fixing to make some phone calls now and put some more in place.
Okay.
As far as Texas.
All right. And here's another question. What makes you laugh?
And what makes me laugh?
Yeah.
Man, a lot of stuff. I mean, I love to laugh. So, I don't know. Good jokes make me laugh.
Yeah.
I love good jokes, but me and my girl, we just laugh all the time. So we pretty much have a lot of fun.
Okay.
But as far as what makes me laugh, good comedy. I mean, I really like, I like Saturday Night Live. I like stand-ups. That's all I do. I watch on TV. I watch poker, UFC, and stand-up comedy.
Wow, what a mix.
Yeah.
So you talked about doing stand-up comedy, and this is from me, not from our listeners. You talked about doing stand-up comedy. I mean, you're at a mic, you're doing a 15-minute set, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 3 to 10 minutes.
3 to 10 minutes. And
it was open mic night in a few places like that.
And do you enjoy that?
Oh, I would absolutely love it.
Yeah.
If I can work on my material and it starts working a little more, I would absolutely love it. Now, I haven't run into those spots where the heckler is there. I haven't run into that room that is ridiculous, that they don't like me.
Yeah.
So the first place I went was older folks, mostly retired folks, and that's my crowd, by golly. and it really worked for the first night. In fact, there was 3 open mic people and 3 people that got paid.
Okay.
And my girlfriend's like, you did better than any of the people that got paid.
Nice.
And I said, very cool. And, they was all going, hey, you did a good job, yada, yada, yada. So, and it felt good, and it worked. Yeah. So the next place we were in, if we got time, I can tell my big one, we went to Fargo, North Dakota.
Uh-huh.
And we always Google ahead of time, are there any comedy clubs and when's the open mic night? Well, it was that night.
Oh, wow.
And so we show up, and we're going to get a little bite to eat next door, and I see this guy writing in a little notebook, and I know he's writing jokes.
Yeah.
I said, dude, you standing up tonight? He's like, yeah, I'm going to give it a try. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I book comics. I don't do comedy, so I book comics. I said, really? Here in Fargo? He goes, you would be surprised. He goes, there's probably 30 working professional comics here in Fargo, North Dakota. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, it's a big comedy city.
Wow.
And he said, this place would be pretty crowded tonight. And there was like 20-something people, and he's only going to take 17. Okay. So I walk in. He goes, get there early and get your name on the list. Yeah. And so I walk in there, and I get my name, and I get a little sport jacket on, and everything. Yeah. I look a little different than everybody else. And I go up to the guy, and I look at him. I said, hey, my name's Clifton Harris. I've been a professional traveling rodeo clown for 36 years. Put me up late. I got this.
Okay.
The guy looked me up and down. He looked at me up and down. He goes, all right.
Yeah.
And, of course, he put me, it was Pride Month.
Okay.
That week in Fargo, that month in Fargo.
Okay.
And the first person up there was a trans Native American.
Okay. Yeah.
I still can't tell you whether her name is Debbie or Dallin. I don't know.
Right.
But it was funny.
Yeah.
And so I was like, holy crap, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
The whole place is full of LGBTQ ones.
Okay.
And so I'm like, uh-oh, what have I done? Well, everybody got it up there. I just started writing something funny down about them.
Okay.
So I got about 10, 15 people in front of me, Yeah. When I get up there, I just started hagging on all of them. I said, what have I got into?
Yeah.
I said, we're driving down the road. We see this on the internet. We figured, hey, let's go try a joke or two.
Yeah.
And boy, have I stepped in it, I said. And I said, and then I started making fun of all of them, and that worked.
It did. Okay.
And then I said, so here I am. I feel like your dad, but I've been a traveling professional full-time for 39 years, a rodeo clown.
Yeah.
And the place goes, wow, just busts out real loud.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I didn't expect to hear that from all you queers. And they just went nuts, And so I told a couple of little stories there of mine, and it went really well. And everybody came up afterward, oh, you're a rodeo clown, yada, yada, yada. It's all good and all great. And then another place I went some other time in Colorado, I think we went in somewhere, and it didn't go so good,
Yeah.
But it was late night. It was 8 people in the crowd, But, all I got to do is I have a million stories.
Right.
And if I could have a comic sit down with me and go, oh, let's tweak this here and tweak this there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I got a million stories, and they're all funny.
Yep.
But I got to put those in between funny as hell parts,
You bet. So you made mention earlier about if you didn't have the makeup, you probably couldn't do it. Something to that effect. What's it like stand up on a microphone without your makeup on? Nothing to hide behind.
It's pretty tough. Over the years, I've gotten more comfortable doing that.
Okay.
If I'm the announcer, and I have to stand up there and say this exactly, I'm gonna screw it up.
Okay.
I will screw it up. Now, if you just let me sit up there and just be me, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so, I wrote down my stuff, and I had it in my hand if I needed to look down at it, but it would be fine, because I've done a bull riding dinner show down here in the Villages, and I do it as the MC.
Okay.
And it works. It works for that. So, I can do it, but there's nothing to hide behind. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. So when I saw you in the IFR, you were giving advice. You were talking about, hey, this is the way this works, and here's some things to consider. So let's say a young person comes up to you and says, you know what, I want to be in the rodeo business. I like what you're doing. Now, bullfighting, it's not as much bullfighting as it used to be. I'd like to be an entertainer. I'd like to go down the road. What's your advice?
Well, we do it all the time. We have a little clown school in North Dakota in early April, first week in April, last week in March, somewhere around there. And we usually have 2 or 3 every year. But, the best thing is to come up with a face. And, when they walk out in the arena, it needs to be okay the very first time they do it. Okay. So, for instance, last winter, there was a guy that wanted to be a clown. Mm-hmm. And he hooked up with another guy, and he said, hey, you need to call Hollywood Harris. He'll help you. Mm-hmm. Well, I helped him all winter find a face.
Okay.
And we found a face that worked for him, and we put he had like a kind of little welding cap kind of thing, and it looked great. Mm-hmm. And I sent him the clown jeans and the whole 9 yards to get him an outfit.
Yep.
And the first show he goes to, he puts on shorts, a sponsor shirt, and little triangles underneath his eyes, like all the bullfighters that want to do.
Oh.
And a straw hat.
Okay. So nothing.
And he's gone out and sold about 12 different sponsors for his shirt.
Yeah.
And he's never clowned a rodeo.
Oh my goodness.
And then he buys a $3,000 barrel that he charges to a sponsor, and he's never worked a rodeo. Mm-hmm. And so everything that I showed him, he just threw out the window and tried to look like Slim or other people.
Yeah.
They don't get it, that the shorts and the jersey came for a specific reason. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look funny.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And so, I was like, come on, man, why did I spend 6 months trying to help you, and then you go and do the opposite? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I say is let's get to a face first.
Okay.
Get you a few jokes and try. And here's 3 jokes. Start with this one, then do this one, then do this one. Yep. See if they work. If they don't work, keep telling them till you get them to work.
Yeah. Okay.
So, that's kind of what I do is you got to start with a face and start practicing putting it on. Okay. And then, by golly, you get it on, and if you're eager enough, I'll get you a shot.
Yeah.
We'll find you a shot. For instance, got a little kid down here that was 15 or 16 that he gave him a shot to, and they're like, holy crap, this kid's going to be good.
Okay. Yeah. So the clown school in North Dakota, I believe you said.
Yeah.
How do they find that? Is there a way?
Abrahamson Rodeo School.
Abrahamson?
Yep, Abrahamson Rodeo School.
Okay. And I'll put that link for our listeners.
Yeah.
I'll put that in our listener notes. Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Well, this has been a blast, and I got one final question, Hollywood.
Okay, I'm worried.
You've done a bunch of interviews all over the country. You've worked for the PBR. You've worked for the PRCA. You've been in the gunned arena carrying Booger Head in a bag, for goodness sakes. In all the interviews that you've been in, what interview question had they never asked you that you wish somebody would just ask you? And then tell us what that is, and what would you answer?
Well, I'm thinking that, the first thing that pops in my mind is that, how does God connect with this story?
Okay.
And I've never been asked, how does God work in a rodeo clown's life?
Okay.
And, I've had a big part. God has a big part in my life and in Brinson's life, and how we've been able to be happy our entire lives, whether we got money or not. And, there is a spirit that is with us, whether you think it's God, whether you think it's your daddy watching over you,
but we have a God and we have a spirit. And the accident gave me PTSD. Okay, I've held 3 kids while they passed from this earth in my arms at the rodeos. And I'm a tough son of a gun to get through all that. And I'm pretty badass. But when that wreck happened to me, and when that slowed down, and God went pink and slowed everything down and said, "What are you doing?" Regroup. And so that's how God worked in my life that time. Is like, what the hell are you doing? You need to revalue your life. And it wasn't long after that. I'm still limping around. It's the next summer, and me and Brinson are in Utah. And a bucking horse and big survey bucking horse and 2 pickup men run me over broad-chested. Run me over right in the middle of his chest. Runs me over.
Wow.
And it turns me a complete flip. And I'm standing on my feet when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And I look up and my hat's flying through the air, a little bitty short derby hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why didn't that hurt?
Mm-hmm.
They literally ran me over, rolled me in a ball in a flip. And when we're done, I'm standing here behind them and not a spot on me is sore. I'm like, how'd that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And the announcer, the photographer comes running across the arena going, Hollywood, 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 you got to look at this. And he shows me the pictures. And that horse kicked with 2 feet and kicked my hat off of my head. And you know the black hat I'm talking about.
Yep, it's on your website.
With about an 1.5 inch brim.
Yep.
He kicked that hat with 2 feet, and it went pow, about 20 feet in the air. And he showed me that clip in the feet right behind 1 inch from the back of my head.
Wow.
And I was like, God's trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was reevaluate. And about that time, my mom passed, my dog died, my wife left me.
Mm-hmm.
Things were going downhill, but God still has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see through my son, that we've put him in a pretty good spot to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all because of that accident. And, I don't know if you know this, but Brinson drowned when he was 10 months old.
Did not know that. Wow.
You did?
Did not.
Yeah. So I was in Georgia, and he and his mom were in Texas, and we were putting in concrete, if you know what that's like, working your butt off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd already talked to my wife that morning. Back then we talked about once every 3 days because we didn't have cell phones. And all of a sudden I just dropped my shovel and walked inside. He says, "Where the hell are you going?" I said, "Something's wrong."
Yeah.
And I went inside and I called, and he had drowned in the toilet, and they were doing CPR on him right then.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh
and
wow.
all of a sudden, I heard the whole room scream, "Oh, he's breathing, he's breathing, he's breathing."
Oh my gosh.
So I'm putting in concrete with 6 trucks backed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just dropped my shovel
Mm-hmm.
and walked inside because something told me something's wrong.
Wow.
And walked inside. So I listen, I pray every time I get in the truck. When we're on trips, we give everything to God and just let him give back what we need. And so, those things that, these are things that are in your spirit, that this clowning stuff's, where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And one guy said he was at my restaurant one day and he's sitting there staring at me, and I thought maybe I made his chicken salad wrong or something.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That's you, isn't it?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That picture right there is a big painting behind me."
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, sir, that's me." He goes, "You're Hollywood Harris, aren't you?"
Yeah.
"And that's Booger Head." I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I had just lost my wife. She died of cancer. And I hadn't laughed in 6 months. And I came to your show and I laughed all evening.
Yeah.
And I went home with a different attitude."
Okay.
So God has something to do with this teeny clowning crap,
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has a lot to do with mine and my son's lives, and we're thankful, and we're thankful every day.
Wow. Well said, my friend. Well said. Excellent. I'm glad I asked you that question, because what a great, great, great response.
Well, it's what I got from the heart. You know what I mean?
You bet. You bet.
We don't make a lot of money, or I don't, in this business, but it's all about your heart and what you feel and who you meet.
All about your heart, what you feel, and what you meet. You bet. I appreciate that.
You bet, man.
Wow.
My honor.
What a great conversation, dude. What a great
man.
conversation. I'm so tickled to reconnect with you, and it has been so fun to catch up with you. And I know you got a hand or two of poker, been waiting for you this whole doggone time.
That's all right.
I really appreciate this.
Sure.
All right, man. We hope that you enjoy our podcast as much as Cliff and I enjoy doing it. If you do, please share it with your friends. To make your listening easier, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Search for Beyond the Chutes and follow us. Remember, thank you to ParaSight Systems for their support with our podcast. Now, ParaSight System is a push-button parasitic diagnostic system for your pasture animals. Horses, cattle, goat, sheep, chickens, and for your companion animals, dogs and cats. You can find them at ParaSightSystems.com. And we've got a coupon for 50% off your test kits, BTC 023. And this is Beyond the Chutes with Hollywood Harris. Until next time, thank you for listening.